Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Cop Council. How are we all? Hopefully, all of you is having a fantastic Thursday, wherever we are around the world. I do have to check now and again what day we're actually on. But yes, we are on Thursday, of course. Obviously, no football now, I think, for another couple of weeks, isn't it? Before the Club World Cup does start, of course, for every neutral looking at it. But, of course, we do have plenty of transfer news. And, of course, we are going to discuss Barcelona, Luis Diaz, and Liverpool Football Club. Of course, again, looks like Liverpool have rejected an approach from Barcelona, according to the ever-reliable David Ornstein, for Luis Diaz. So, again, let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comment section down below. I'll be very intrigued to know your guys' thoughts down below, of course. Again, we know the interest has been there for quite some time with Barcelona. But, again, Liverpool showing strong in terms of going, nope, Luis Diaz is not for sale. And, we'll get into the article piece, of course, in a moment anyway. But, again, let me know your guys' thoughts on the Luis Diaz, conversation, because I think even stuff in the article piece is a bit enlightening, really, of what Liverpool think of the whole situation. And of course, I think if we're being honest, I think Liverpool are maybe suggesting that, look, if Luis Diaz does go, we potentially want him to go to Saudi, not to a European rival. Then, of course, in Barcelona, of course, a team fighting for the Champions League, fighting for other competitions that Liverpool would like to win themselves as well. Anyway, but like I said, we're going to get into the article piece then, from David Ornstein himself, as it does say there that Liverpool reject Barcelona's approach over Luis Diaz transfer, tell them he is not for sale. Of course, as you can see, it is by the ever-reliable David Ornstein. It does go on to say, however, that Liverpool have rebuffed an approach from Barcelona to discuss the signing of Luis Diaz, telling the champions of La Liga he is not for sale. The 28-year-old Colombian international joined from Porto in January of 2022 on a deal that runs until the summer of 2027. And as things stand, there is a little expectation of a fresh agreement. It has led Diaz to be linked with leaving Anfield, and Barcelona contacted the Premier League counterparts on Wednesday about recruiting him, but Liverpool formally replied was unconventional. The Catalan club and the sporting director Deco were immediately informed that no appetite exists to trade a squad member who head coach Arne Slot is planning with for the 25-26 season. Diaz was of interest of Manchester City last summer and also has admirers in Saudi Arabia, yet in the recent pursuit of Manchester United captain Bruno Fernandes, 30 by Al Hilal, helped Liverpool establish Diaz market price. So again, are we looking around £100 million for Luis Diaz? I think that's a conversation opener. Anyway, but as it does go on to say, Luis Diaz is Liverpool's number 9 for now, but should he stay there, as widely assumed, Arne Slot will be in the market for a striker this summer. But in the meantime, the Colombian is staking his claim. The wingers played a key role in bringing in a 20th English League title to Merseyside, and has so far given no indication of wanting to depart. Unless that or Liverpool stance change, the club would be happy to let Diaz see out his final 24 months. Liverpool's new look hierarchy, led by sporting director Richard Hughes and Fenway Sports Group chief executive of football Michael Edwards, has sought to address the contract issue. However, progress has not materialized. At Diaz's age, their current preference would be to maximize his performance value, even if it means exiting as a free agent, unless Liverpool receive bids that enable them to land a replacement of similar or superior quality. So, looking at that, in my honest opinion, look, Liverpool have been very strong in their approach and saying, look, he is not for sale to Barcelona. I think Barcelona, of course, wanting to, put their foot in the door and kind of go, well, we're, of course, interested in potentially bringing in Luis Diaz. What's the situation around there? Again, Barcelona, I think, were kind of a little bit hoping that Liverpool would kind of go, maybe between 40, 50 million pounds. Again, I don't think Liverpool are looking in that price point, especially with the article piece there from David Ornstein suggesting that Liverpool have looked at somebody like a Bruno Fernandes, who was getting quoted around £100 million towards the Saudi Pro League. That is where they are currently valuing Luis Diaz. But I think the other interesting point of the whole conversation around Luis Diaz is, the telling point there that Liverpool are not going to extend his contract. And I think that's a bit surprising, even though it's, it's said there, that again, it's not likely that Liverpool are looking to re-sign his contract, which again, there's different reports on that because again, David Ornstein, again, who is Liverpool, well, I say Liverpool, he is obviously British football's most, notable journalist in terms of the news and so on as well. But looking at it, he is saying that there is no contract talks. Again, there's been Colombian reports out there that saying that Luis Diaz is currently in contract talks with Liverpool as well to get a deal over the line. So it's kind of, contradicting at the moment, what is happening with Luis Diaz's contract. And as of things right now, I would say, look, Liverpool are not stressed about the situation. Liverpool have their valuation. Like I said, anyway, north of £80 million. It looks like that's what Liverpool are looking at the moment. But as of things right now, I would turn around and say that, look, for me, it's vital Liverpool keep Luis Diaz for next season. But if a bid did come in at around that price point, in terms of, again, 90 million pounds, again, you'd be stupid to turn that down. I really do believe that. I think Liverpool themselves would be stupid to turn that down, really. But again, unless Liverpool have an idea of somebody that can replace Luis Diaz and become better than him, then yeah, for sure, I think Liverpool 100% will be looking in that market. But as with things right now, it's a very rare market to find quality. And of course, people like, Rafael Leao has been linked ever since the whole Saudi and Barcelona rumours have come out, of course, over recent time. Do I see Liverpool going for Rafael Leao? No, not personally. I think, he's not, he's not really, not say he's not good, but again, he doesn't fit Liverpool. He doesn't fit the profile of what Liverpool would want from their left-sided playmaker anyway. And I do think that's something that I think realistically it comes into question. But I think with this news as well, I do personally think Liverpool are putting it out there that, look, we don't want to sell him to a European competitor. Again, if he's going to go, he's going to go to the Saudi Pro League. And again, whether or not Lucho wants that, that's the other question and the whole conversation, of course, anyway. But again, let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comments down below. And a bit of Jack as well saying, I don't think it's too bad if he was to leave on a free in 2 years on a reported 50k, which is, and this climate is pennies. Yeah, absolutely. Well, of course, if that is true with this whole contract situation, of course, yeah, I would also agree with that. I think I said it to you, I've said it to you guys throughout the week, haven't I, when we spoke about how Liverpool might move forward in this type of scenario. I personally look at it and go, I think Liverpool will keep him for one more year and then sell him on, because again, if we're talking Saudi Pro League in a year's time, you're probably still paying 50 million for him as of things right now. But I think in an overall sense of things, if Europe, if a team in Europe still wants him in a year's time, then you are looking at 30 at to push 40 million, around the rest of Europe. But I think as of things right now, I would turn around and say that, look, for the Saudi Pro League, you are talking 80 million, around that price. I think for the rest of Europe, it's probably a bit more because we don't want to lose him to a European competitor. But in also saying that, Liverpool, if that type of deal does come along, we will be pushing him to the Saudi Pro League and not to Barcelona or anyone else in that regard. Anyway, but big up Tassa as well, saying if Barca are willing to pay 60 to 70 million, that's fine. Anything less Saudi money we need as well. Well, we know Barcelona are not going to pay that. Of course, this is the whole conversation around it, of course, because I know everybody this morning was like, oh, Liverpool, putting the feeling out there to Barcelona, like, look, we're not going to sell him for cheap. And absolutely I agree with that. Look, Barcelona have struggled over the last, couple of years, haven't they? That where they've had to try and balance the books. Now probably this summer they can spend a little bit in terms of not a huge transfer, but in terms of they can spend probably a little bit. But are they realistically going to pay over 50 million for Luis Diaz? No, I don't think they are. I'd be surprised if they were to do that anyway. But again, we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, but big up John as well, saying a Haikon, more likely Saudi Arabia. I think he wants a massive increase in wages. And we would get a transfer fee. We want, yeah, absolutely. I think I do think, again, the rumors are, what is it, 50,000 pound per week? It's probably a lot more than that, but probably like Luis Diaz is probably looking at it and going, well, if Mo Salah and Virgil van Dijk are getting 400,000 pound per week, I should be getting, around 200, or just below that, really. And are Liverpool going to do that? No, I don't think they are, really. And again, like we said, Liverpool are probably looking at it and going, we'd like to keep you, but in terms of renewing your contract, I don't think Liverpool are planning to do it, really, because again, Liverpool have a contingency plan of of a player that they already have an eye on, and in a year's time they excel again next season, they'll go and make the move and then sell Luis Diaz in a year's time. As well. But hello, Rick. Hopefully doing well. But can't big up. Hello, Ozan. Hopefully doing well, mate. Tafsa saying Liao is shite. Just got a fancy. Yeah, I don't like. It's not so much I don't like him, but I do look at it and go, like, even in Serie A, he struggled this season. I just think in the Premier League he gets bullied, in my opinion. Anyway, that fella Napoli signed in January wasn't too bad. Who did they sign in January? I don't know. Who did they sign in January? I can't think. But thoughts on the buying interest on Cody Gakpo? We'll talk about it later. We're going to do obviously a news episode at 9 as well. But yeah, I look at it and go, I don't think much of it, really, because again, we're talking 80 plus, 90 million plus for them to leave the club, and that's not going to happen, really, anyway. But everyone in this Liverpool team has a price this summer. Yeah. Wow, no ball knowledge. Who signed from Napoli? Like, who am I forgetting? You on about for signing from Napoli? Because if you're talking about that, it's Kvaratskhelia, but signing to Napoli in January, I don't know what you're on about. But yeah, I would agree with that. Again, I said it yesterday. If Kvara, he didn't sign for Napoli, did he? He left Napoli. That fella Napoli signed in January. They didn't sign him in January. They sold him in January. The other way, McKindo. Not they signed him. But no, that's what he's on, which is crazy. Hence why I think he's happy keeping him on the. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, going back onto Rick's point, everybody does have a price at Liverpool. If Mo Salah, if the Saudis give 200 plus million, Liverpool would obviously go for it as well. But again, I'm hoping. Yeah, PSG change the freaking team. It's not Napoli, it's PSG. As well. I was like, Napoli didn't sign anyone in the summer. In January, sorry. They sold Kvaratskhelia. They didn't buy anybody. Anyway, but look, I do think Liverpool will keep him for next season. I do, because you look at the market, like you look at Liao, like we mentioned, you look at Fofana from Lyon, again, promising player, but like it's not like if Liverpool are going to cough out 60, 70 million pounds just for potential at the moment. Of course, Liverpool want the real deal at the minute. This is why, of course, Liverpool have gone and spent a world record fee on Florian Wirtz, which, by the way, we're going to talk about him. What a performance it was last night from him. Not a good performance from from Germany, by the way. Jesus Christ, how on earth Jonathan Tah's going to move to Bayern Munich, I'd never know. It's probably Florian Wirtz is watching that and going, Jesus Christ, thank God I chose Liverpool over Bayern Munich. But still, we'll talk about that later on. But yeah, like you got Fofana, you've got Anthony Gordon. Again, you're looking probably the same price you're going to be selling Luis Diaz for. Barcola is another one that you could go for. Obviously, Rodrigo, if he does decide to leave Real Madrid. Of course, they're options, but I think for the way we play and the way we want to play next season, I think, keeping Luis Diaz is the best thing for us. if I'm being perfectly honest anyway. But again, I think that the big thing with the whole Luis Diaz thing, and even from David Ornstein's report in terms of it just feels like Liverpool are gonna, keep him for or hopefully will keep him for 2 more years and then sell him on. Which again we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, but we will get on to more, of course, what Luis Diaz has said, because, of course, he's took a press conference today for Colombia. Now, it is misinterpreted, because I'm going to quickly get up. Obviously, it is taken from Anfield Rap on what he did quote, because as you guys know, obviously, Pepe, who again was one of the first people that got the Liverpool news to Liverpool. Now, if I quickly get up what Luis Diaz said in the press conference, if Twitter wants to work, there we go. So this is what he did have to say in the press conference earlier on. So of course it is translated, as you guys can hopefully see on screen right now. There we go. So as it does say, but there, of course it is taken from that. He said, "I'm very happy at Liverpool. I've always said it. They've treated me well since the first day. We are speaking with different clubs. It's normal during the market. If Liverpool make me a good offer, or if I have to stay the 2 years, I'll be happy regardless. It's up to them now." And of course, that's what Luis Diaz has had to come out and say as well. So it does feel like he is happy enough to stay at Liverpool for the next 2 years and then potentially move on. But I just get the feeling that if that Saudi bid does come in, we're gonna again hear it from his family that he wants to move, or something else in regarding to that. I kind of get that thought process of he's gonna decide, like, he right there wants to stay at Liverpool. But I just think if that Saudi bid does come in, I think that might change his mind, because at the moment, of course, the intrigue for from Barcelona, of course, that might even tempt Lucho, and he might ask the football club to, of course, speak to them. But I kind of get the thought process of, look, he's happy, like himself, he's happy to stay at Liverpool, but it does feel like if a bid comes in, there might be conversations needed for Liverpool anyway. But Germany's defending is so bad. Yeah, it was last night. Plus that Ronaldo tap in was offside. I thought it was offside to begin with, but look, they've got the automatic technology, haven't they, to make a decision for themselves. But look, it did look offside, but of course we know it wasn't. Either way, but I'm just quickly checking if there's any other news on Luis Diaz, because quite funny and quite ironic as well. Liverpool also tweeting out the Luis Diaz song, which I think annoyed a few Barcelona fans by it as well, which, look, fair play to Liverpool doing it anyway. But even still, I will quickly get Pepe's tweet about the Barcelona stuff earlier. So if you can quickly see on screen, as well as, of course, it is translated, so I do apologize for it. But I say Liverpool rejected Barcelona's initial approach for Luis Diaz. The Reds have announced that the winger is not for sale, as he is a priority for coach Arne Slot, as per David Ornstein, suggest there has been no major progress regarding the renewal of this contract, which expires in June 2027. Only positions are known as well, which, again, I don't know what that last bit means, but even still, like, judging from that, again, he's not signing a new contract, or at least the club are not offering him a new contract, which I think will annoy some people. But again, that's the other question as well. If Cody Gakpo leaves, obviously was mentioned. Who mentioned earlier on? Was it Ozan mentioned earlier on? Like, if for example, Cody Gakpo leaves, then Liverpool most likely have to give Luis Diaz a new contract, because if we were to lose both Gakpo and Luis Diaz, what on earth are Liverpool going to do then? In all fairness, but look, I think we'll be completely fine, really, and I think both of them won't go anyway. But as Germany are out, let's make it flow Friday as well. Well, we need to agree a fee first. That's the conversation around it at the minute, isn't it? Why isn't a fee getting agreed? Of course, it will take time, but I think we are looking at next week now. I hope Florian Wirtz doesn't play in that third place playoff that they're going to have, really, because let's be honest, who cares? But yeah, I hope realistically we don't have to see that. And yeah, look, if we get an announcement tomorrow, like here we go. Like this morning, like up and about in terms of the whole, the vert stuff and uh, Martin, good to see you in, mate. But yeah, 99.1% done. We'll go back to that comment anyway. But yeah, I'd love Verts to be done by the end of this week. I really would. But Florian winding up both Portuguese Rats and United and City was boss. He's already a Scouser. Yeah, absolutely. Again, what was like, judging from Twitter, everyone was on heat watch last night for Florian Wirtz, and then he was the best player on the pitch by a country mile until Germany just decided not to defend, and it was just pretty much a one-man show for Florian Wirtz. Everything he touched last night was solid, especially that crossfield ball in the first half, and that Kimmich somehow managed to bugger up. I say bugger up. To be fair, the assist that him and Kimmich did last night for their goal was it was naughty, wasn't it? To be fair, but any news on Wirtz? We'll talk about it at 9 mainly, but no, there's not much really to talk about him. Wirtz is 99.1% done, 99.5% done. Martin. So yeah, but we'll talk about him later. Kirk's news, same. A lot of people thought he was in Liverpool today, which he's not. He's with the Hungary team, but he is injured, quote unquote injured. Of course, the Hungary boss did confirm Kirkes won't be a part of their team tomorrow. He does have a little issue, they said, but again, I wonder whether or not if maybe he's potentially doing a medical tomorrow. That'd be interesting, wouldn't it? But Wirtz was class last night. Yeah, he was absolutely. Like I said on the Kirkers news. Hello, Adventure as well. Saying any news on any other outgoings? Well, Harvey's going to be going, and he. But it doesn't look. We don't know yet, do we? Really on where, or because again, there's still rumors with Bundesliga, but it looks like it might be a Premier League team as well. But apart from that, not really any news on outgoings at the moment. Of course, there will be a fair few. Look, I think Joe Gomez might end up going. Potentially looking at the squad. Endo is another one. I don't personally want Wataru Endo to leave. He's an absolute goat. But yeah, I don't know. I think the problem is at the minute Liverpool will try and get the Kirkes and Wirtz deal done now. It might go quiet for a little bit, and then we might end up hearing a big pile of news, because again, the financial year. Again, Liverpool want to get Wirtz and Kirkes done before the end of the month, which they will end up doing. You hope anyway. And then, of course, obviously, once then June the 30th is done, and moving on, then look, that's a new financial year. Then we'll start hearing probably news on a striker and other positions that Liverpool are after as well. Like Liverpool will hope to get everything done. Well, before we go anywhere for preseason, because I think today they announced obviously Liverpool come back to preseason is on July 7th, I think it is. But yeah, Liverpool will definitely try and get everybody signed, I think, before July. That's what I would say anyway, but that's just a guess at the minute anyway. We'll be looking at another 2 or 3 in after sales. I don't think we can get a new centre back and a striker, but there are no links to anyone. Well, we're going to talk about it later. Of course, obviously, there's talks about Ekitike, and more news on him. But apart from that, there isn't really any other news out there. I think centre back wise, Liverpool again will have an idea of who they want, but yeah, there hasn't been any concrete links at the minute. Certainly with other strikers as well. I think again, the only one that is being linked at the minute is Ekitike, which if Chelsea go full force on that, I think he will end up going Chelsea as well. But yeah, Chelsea have been offered Kudos. I don't believe that personally. I know obviously there was Sky Sports, big breaking news on it. But yeah, like realistically, Chelsea are not going to cough out what West Ham want for him. Like West Ham want £85 million for him. They're not coughing that out. Like absolutely not. But yeah, if you could smash the likes as well, be very much appreciated anyway. But look, I think we are going to leave it there for the Luis Diaz news. Anyway, like I said, we're going to be back a bit later on. We're going to talk, like I said, more about Verts from last night. We'll talk about Cody Gakpo getting linked again to Bayern Munich. And yeah, we'll talk more about everything. Thoughts on Man City? They're going to be our closest rivals next season. I just don't think personally. I just don't think Arsenal are going to be in the title race next season. I think it will be us and City. Not saying Arsenal are not going to be close, but judging by it and judging by the signings both teams are going for, I think Liverpool and City will be fighting for the title again next season. But again, unlike other years, I'd say Liverpool are favourites now more than anything. Jack, when's your next show, lads? Probably week next Tuesday. No, it's not anyway. No, Jack's obviously very busy at the moment. I wouldn't worry about Kudos. Average play at best, score about 4 or 5 goals a season. Kudos is a good player. Like, look, at one point I would have liked Liverpool to have signed him, but again, the price point now that you're going to end up paying, there's no chance that anybody coughs out the money that they want. You know, realistically, the only teams that are going to cough out 80 million plus for him is simply, you know, with Kudos, the Saudis. You know, they are the only one that's gonna genuinely cough out the money. Liverpool not gonna cough out that type of money. Chelsea are not gonna cough it out. City don't need him. United might, considering, you know, again, they're gonna spend 60 odd million on Embuemo and give him £250,000 per week. Like, that's mental, really. But look, we'll have to wait and see what happens anyway. But thoughts on Ibu Konate declaring that Dembele deserves the Ballon d'Or? Probably does now. You know, after the Champions League. You know, as I said, if Inter had won, Mo Salah might have had a chance. I think if we had gone, if we had beat PSG and we had gone far or had won the Champions League, I think Mo Salah would have been in with a shout for Ballon d'Or. But I think Dembele, he's won the treble this year with PSG. You know, they've gone on win the Champions League as well. You know, Dembele's been a big part in that. I know, of course, obviously the last couple of weeks I think over the last 6 weeks, his goals have slowly, you know, dried up. But even still, like, Dembele's had a very good season, like a very good 2025. You know, not just, you know, the 24 part. 2025, Dembele's been unreal, and he has done. And like Ibu saying that again, I don't think it's a mad thing to say, because arguably you could say Kvaratskhelia should be winning the Ballon d'Or. You know, Kvaratskhelia won a quadruple this season. You know, he won the treble in France, and technically he won the league with Napoli as well. So even still, if you're going by that metric, Kvaratskhelia should be in the conversation as well. But yeah, I absolutely, like, it will be a PSG player that wins Ballon d'Or this year. It will be. If Barcelona had won the Champions League, then we might even be talking about Pedri, Lamine Yamal, you know, these people talking about it. Do I think Mo Salah should still be in the top 2 or 3 for Ballon d'Or? Of course he is. You know, he's had an unbelievable season. He's had arguably, or, you know, in my opinion, he has had the best individual season in Premier League history. But again, they don't really look at the Premier League for that award, do they? And they kind of overshadow it, really. Where, all right, you've had previous winners of the Ballon d'Or from the Premier League, but, you know, it's a very rare thing. You know, Rodri winning it. You know, the last person prior to Rodri was Cristiano Ronaldo at Manchester United. So yeah, they will definitely pick a French player to win that. And you know, I think the only person that's going to be angry about that is Kylian Mbappe, because, you know, Kylian Mbappe, instead of staying at PSG, left. And PSG won their first Champions League. And look, they massively deserved it, didn't they? They were absolutely brilliant in the Champions League anyway. But look, let me know your guys' thoughts anyway on Luis Diaz, and of course the whole Liverpool rejecting the move from Barcelona. Of course, again, I think he'll stay this season. I don't think he's going to go to Saudi, in my personal opinion. But again, we'll just have to wait and see what happens anyway. But look, like I said, we will be back at 9 p.m. So make sure you are tuned to the channel for it. Of course, we'll talk again more about Cody Gakpo, Hugo Ekitike, Florian Wirtz, and other bits and pieces as well. But yeah, until next time, guys, that is going to be it from us. I've been Connor from the Cup Council. We'll see you guys later on. Ta-ra.